Hey everybody, I get a lot of questions about what the perfect storm is. And while that can take, an hour for me to kind of demonstrate and put together, I wanted to give you 7 basic steps of what the perfect storm is. Because you might know someone that falls into one of these categories. So I'm just going to get right into it. Step number 1. Fertility and maternal stress. This is that prenatal stress. This is going through IVF treatments. This is worrying about if you're going to get pregnant or if you got pregnant. This is mom's stress. Everything she goes through, from money and relationships and everything else. All of that stress starts from conception and from the get-go. The next step we get right here, medical intervention or injury at birth. And while most people think that, I'll get induced on this certain day and I'm going to have a natural birth. Well, the induction's already a medical procedure and a new stress to the body, which usually leads to Tosin, C-section, forceps, section, all those types of things. So any kind of medical intervention during the birthing process is going to give that baby stress. There's nothing wrong with those things. They're life-saving, but a lot of times unnecessary. Number 3, stress and difficult colicky babies. This is when we start to get reflux. This is when we get constipation. This is when we get ear infections. A whole host of things happen with those babies, and guess what? They don't grow out of it. They grow into it. That's when we get into the asthma. And then we get into stress 4. You get this stress, constantly sick, challenging toddler. These kids are having outbursts. They can't control their emotions. They're dealing with all sorts of sicknesses. It seems like everything that goes around the school or the daycare, they're bringing it home to mom and dad, and their bodies just can't fight it off. And they're struggling through that. Number 5, now we're into that sensory spectrum. Hyper, anxious, stuck child. And when I say stuck, I'm talking about milestones. These kids have plateaued, they've quit developing, they've shut off. And you can see that in your children when they're going through this. And number 6, we get exhausted, emotional, angry, anxious teenagers. And while we can laugh about teenage angst and things like that, this isn't normal to be completely exhausted, emotionally angry all the time and those types of things. That anxiety that those teenagers have is directly related to this wound up system that they've probably been through for their entire lives. And number 7, that's when we reach burnout. Now we're stressed out, anxious, and ADHD. Can't concentrate adults. We're raging full ahead into adult life. We're constantly sick, struggling through all of these health challenges. And I'll tell you, here at Innate Family Chiropractic, my job is to identify where that stress is, apply that adjustment when it's needed, and get that system to restore and rebalance. And that's what we talk about in the perfect storm. Not only what is it, where it came from, but how do we get in there? How do we measure it? How do we correct it? And get those lasting effects that we see day in and day out at our office. So if you're curious about the perfect storm, check us out. We'll see you next time.